32 or 3 of us here. So let's begin. So I've had kind of a weird couple weeks, and I'm kind of not very organized out of that. So I didn't do anything in terms of trying to prep anything for the meeting. So if you have something you need to share, want to share, that's kind of business related, just, I can't see most people because their video's off. So raise your hand, start talking. And when we're done, we'll go on to the program.
Ellen Wolstatter asked me to remind everybody that the gallery starting December 1st is having its free giveaway with a purchase of $40. So all gallery members, please bring your things in so we can continue. This is the 4th annual giveaway in appreciation of our customers. And if anyone else has any pieces that are not seconds per se, but you just don't want to sell them or the glaze didn't turn out quite right, feel free to bring them in. Yeah, exactly. Feel free to bring them in, and the customers love it. They love it. Yeah. So it starts December 1st and goes on until we run out of pieces. Yeah. Is somebody going to talk about the membership renewal process?
I think that's part of the program.
Okay.
I maybe.
No.
No?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought we were going to show them the questions and stuff. No?
Well, then I'll say an email just went out like half an hour ago. When we talked at the member meeting, we talked about and asked for feedback on the dues for 2024, some changes to the dues. Now I'm going to forget what I wrote. Hang on, let me just say here. Sorry. Okay. The regular tier member is going to be $40 for 2024. It's an increase of $10, and that is actually less than we'd need to raise it to keep up with inflation. And the plus tier is going from $50 to $75, which is an increase of $25. $10 of that is going to keep up with inflation, and 15% will go into the future fund. We've eliminated the couples membership for technical reasons, really, but all members will have to sign up as individual members, and student memberships are now free, but students have to be enrolled in 12 or more units and complete a team service opportunity in 2024. So all of the details about that are in the email that just went out to you. But so we're trying to build up this future fund for the guild and moving into the future. But what does that look like? And what do the membership want the future of the guild to look like 5 years from now, 8 years from now? So in order to do that, in order to figure out what everybody doesn't want the same thing, believe me, that never happens. But in order to figure out sort of what the consensus is, what the feelings are, what the thoughts are of the guild members, we developed a survey to try to get at that. And we put some of the questions on that survey on the email that just went out. So people don't respond to the email, don't answer the questions on the email, but we just wanted to give you time to think about it. There's an exercise that asks you to spend $100 on different types of activities that I have found really helpful in the past, because it really makes you think about how you want to distribute resources. Other questions about how you want to participate. And these will be part of what you will need to fill out when you renew your membership. In addition to some other questions that we're going to be asking of folks, so we know more about folks. And we know what your interests are, and we're here to meet your needs as well as to, take care of the organization as a whole. The organization exists for its members. So you're going to get, so that email went out. Y'all should see it. And, you know, if you have questions, you can respond to the forum and we can try and answer them. And then later in the week, you're going to get another email with the link to renewal. So the renewal actually starts December 1st. And when you renew, you're going to have to renew online. We can't take checks anymore. You can pay with a credit card or a debit card. You're going to be asked, in order to renew, you're going to be asked some of these same questions and some additional questions. And, you know, think about it. This is important. This is your opportunity to really give feedback and really express your views. And let us know, fill out, answer the questions. It should take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, especially if you look in advance and think about it. And then you can renew. As always, if you don't renew by the end of February, you will lose your juried status if you're juried in. So that's what's up. It's that time of year. January 1st is the new year, and it's the new year for membership. Does Foz or Terry or Wynn want to add anything to that?
I would just
No,
encourage you, when you get this email, what comes out on the 1st and the links there, just click on it and get it over with. Don't wait until we send you another email that says, hey, or where is it that I go? Just take advantage of that email and get your membership renewed. Keeps it simple.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else?
Well, just a reminder that our holiday party is next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, which I understand some people read next whatever as being the upcoming. But anyway, it's a week from this coming weekend. So
The
barely
9th.
2 weeks. The 9th. Yeah, it's on a Saturday. And it's a potluck clay challenge. The clay challenge is the dish that you bring your food in, and there'll be an exchange of the dishes afterwards. So it'll be a lot of fun, and it's in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock, Bronco Vista Park, the east end of Ventura. Well, sort of.
It's
Not
off
all-
the Johnson Road exit on the 101.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun, in-person gathering, and so if you're dragging your feet, you've got less than 2 weeks to get that piece in and out of the kiln.
But you can sign up and come anyway, even if
Of
you
course.
don't have a seat.
And wear something fun for
That's actually festive attire, yeah.
Still having their meeting.
Anything else? Okay, Foz.
All right. So tonight's program, I think it's pretty exciting. I'm glad you guys are all here. One of our members who has been a member for a very long time, who's been involved in ceramic arts for a very long time, is going to be our presenter. Nina is a resident of Goleta, Santa Barbara area. She about a year ago hatched an idea with her daughter to put together a retrospective of her life and her work, and they've got it ready to give it a dry run with us all and share a little bit about who she is and where her inspiration for creation comes from and how she brings her ceramic work to life. So I'm really excited about introducing her to you. So Nina, the floor is yours.
Now, is it open?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is the first time we've shown it, and we may be adding to it, but it's it's complete enough, I think, to show. And if you have any questions about any of the video or any questions about how I do my work, I'd be happy to try and answer after the video. So I guess we'll go with it. My son is turning it on. I'd like to say a little bit about where I draw and why.
Hold on, I'm gonna try this again. I feel it didn't.
We're gonna start it over.
The audio.
Okay. What I'm trying to do is capture something about the movement. That as loud as it goes.
Yeah, I'm not getting the audio.
Not getting the audio. Hold on. We're gonna stop that share again.
And they had a nice dog. His name was Leo. Go back to the beginning.
Mike, I like the cat's tail.
Now we can hear them. I'd like to say a little bit about
Can you hear the audio?
where I draw
Yes.
and why.
Better. Yeah, good.
What I try and do is capture something about the movement. And they had a nice dog, and his name was Leo. And this was called the story was called Leo's Run. Leo feeling kind of sad because he's locked out of the room that he lived in. And he's sort of sniffing and wondering what's happening. And looking sad because he can't go in. This is when he finally meets the other dogs, because we had 2 dogs with us, 2 cats, and 2 pet rats. Gertrude, and this is Maggie, the deerhound, and they all got along very well.
And you like to draw, and your drawings are exquisite. And how did the drawing start? I know your parents were both artists. Did you just do it because they did it, or did they encourage you? How did that whole thing?
My mother always encouraged me to draw and paint, and I remember the first drawing that I remember that I made was a scribble, and I told my mother, this is a cat with kittens in it.
Hi, Dookie. How's that funny? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Well, we always had animals, so they were sort of the family animals, and certainly I have favorites. My The one I thought of as mine first was probably Molly, the goat. We knew her mother, Maggie, and Molly was born when I was, right around near. So I saw Molly as a baby, and then we saw her growing up, and I used to pet her a lot because she was a nice French Alpine, brown and white. And then when she finally got to milking, she would let me drink straight from her, milk into my mouth without food or anything. And my mother said, when I called out at night and I called Mommy, Molly would answer me because she thought I was saying Molly. So we had a very close bond.
Oh my God.
But, goats don't live forever, but she was such a sweetie. And donkeys, they're sweet, but they're not much to ride because they're small and they're not very interested in the whole thing. But finally I did get a horse. I was 12. We bought a horse out of a field in Goleta for $25. And he had been a plow horse, I think. But we reached an agreement. I had him for quite a while. His name was Red. He had a huge Roman nose. He was the first one with the hooked nose. Actually, I rode him in the Fiesta Parade once, and I didn't think he was ugly, but I'm sure people were kind of surprised to see him in the Fiesta Parade. But you get a feeling for a particular kind of animal, even if you're not drawing it, if you're with it and brushing it and taking care of it. And so I think I have more of a feeling for hoofed animals because when we were small, we did quite a bit of milking, cleaning stalls, and feeding.
I did these in Cedar Falls, but they're from zoo drawings of a female kudu who had a baby right in front of me. And then finally it got up and began to nurse. So that's the nursing picture. And I did it, it looks a little bit like a different kind of thing. It's a soft ground etching, and I had a piece of silk that I laid over and then drew on top of. So it's a much softer feeling. And all the ladies of the bunch, there's a whole bunch of females, wanted to meet it, and they all came up and looked at it. The mother wouldn't let them near it at first, and then she let them look. And then it went and lay down by the father. So that I have a brown one of it too, but it's very faint. So here he is, lying by his father. This is the first one here is the oldest woodcut that I have, and I did it in 1960. So I did it in graduate school. This was my dad's cat, Tidy, and it's 71. Oh, it was a big fat cat, a very nice cat, and he did curl up his paws like this when he was relaxing and purring. He was a nice cat. He was just a very sweet cat. My dad loved cats. And he spent a lot of time on my dad's lap. I think there's a gray and a black and a gold as the plates. So there must have been 4 different plates. I've always liked India print, and that's where we get a lot of these backgrounds. A cat always looks good on a print surface. You know, drawing gives you an image that you can call up. You can look at the drawing and you can see the animal that you were drawing, or the person, whatever you were drawing. And even a bad drawing will show you that. So I think what you're doing is processing the material in a different way and stimulating your memory. And so that it all becomes much more inside of you.
Can I say it's moldy?
Sure.
This is a blue mold that develops on the rags that I soaked this clay in. And I don't know what mold it is, but it doesn't smell bad or anything. It makes the clay good, I'm sure.
I'm sort of making a rocky background. This one just does cuts. It gives you a responsive medium that you have to take care of. It's almost like an animal itself. You have to keep it wet down or it gets too dry. I mean, if it's too wet, you have to dry it out. And then if I'm going to do that, I better make more texture up here. Will be a lion, I think. Yeah, I thought it would be nice if he'd hang his paw. I don't know if his feet are too big, but
I like him big. They're cute. Okay. He looks challenging.
he's looking at birds.
It's nice that you can see the red.
Yeah, you really can see the red.
It's the oxide.
Little dog. What does it say?
960.
Let's try for 950. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Not very centered. I'll put it down here.
Oh, look at the color on that.
She's got a little more tin than some of them, but okay.
sometimes something that sticks out, like the face, will get too dark and there's nothing you can do. But I think it will look all right, whatever color.
If I wanted to urge anybody to participate in a particular way, I would say to study animals, to look at them, and it's a beginning of respect, certainly.
I did a whole show on the blaubuck and the rhino. This is an extinct blue animal that was somewhat related to the sable antelope, and I've drawn sable antelopes at zoos. But this guy was extinct in 1800. He was in South Africa. It was a small population, and there was an interesting article about him in, let's see, the Smithsonian Magazine by Jay Gould, who wrote for them every month for quite a long time. Because it was a small population, it was very vulnerable, and so when the Dutch came in, it had a very appealing color. It was Himmelblau, heaven blue, and I mean, I think it had some touches of tan on it. The males were the ones that were blue, but if you shoot all the males, that's the end of the species, and they managed to do it.
When I was even making them in several pieces, the pieces, I'd pick it up and turn it over, and I'd have two pieces where I'd had one, so that in some sense, when the clay is fragile, it tends to fragment. And I think because I'm talking about fragility, the fragility of life and animal life on the planet, I think it's compatible. And we're going away from environmental concerns, even though often we say we're not. And I think if you see something dead, it makes you think about it. I guess I was thinking of them as reconstruction elements, or ways to put the animals back together, because I think that our need is to reconstruct the habitat for these animals. In a sense, to recreate their lives.
I love the drawings. They're just, drawings are just so fresh, and they're so personal.
Well, I think it's the beginning of all the other stuff, you know. It's the beginning of sculpture, it's the beginning of printmaking. And I don't draw much right now, but I sort of feel it's all in my head, or in my sketchbooks, one or the other.
Yeah, because you've done so many.
Yeah.
You've done so
Yeah.
many.
I have a big shelf in the garage, and I have them listed under what animals, and there's some from trips, but it's a 1, 2,
about 3 big shelves, and then there's some other cupboards. So I have a lot of drawings, and I weeded through some of them. Thrown away things that are really bad. But usually the not so good ones kind of lead up and explain the last one, you know, I don't know. This is Brian, the guinea pig. But yeah, she had great, big, beautiful feet, and so it was sort of a foot drawing. So I think this is the best one of his personality. She had this, she was female, so she had this thing they called a milk sack. And they pull the fur out and put it around their baby, you know, before they have the baby.
But each animal has a personality for me, as well as a part in the piece and the work.
I think this is the dog that killed one hamster and then lay by the door till he got the second one. This is actually a big plastic plate that I drew on with a Dremel. It says it's a cream bar, young cock. These are Pear David's deer, and they were saved by an Englishman who had a collection of them where all the wild ones were gone. The National Zoo, and this one had had his horn removed. It had been infected, they said. That head there.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Wow, beautiful.
That was awesome.
That was so lovely. I got swept away and I forgot I was in a meeting. I was just watching and not observant of what was going on around me. Really beautiful.
I had a question. What kind of clay were you wedging there at the beginning? What temperature was it? Low fire?
No, I use a high fire clay because it's a more of an open body and it raccoons really well. I've been using the Big White, Laguna Big White, and if I want to do something small, last time I talked to you guys, I was called on this, but what I really do is I mix the Big White with a clay from someplace in Minnesota, and it's a cone 6. So I mix a cone 6 and a cone 10, but the cone 6 is a porcelain, and it has unlike some porcelains, it's got some body to it. And, you know, they're small, so I don't really use a lot of it. I just send for it from Minnesota because when we were living in Iowa, that was close. So I bought most of my stuff there.
That was beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell my daughter-in-law.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Any more questions? Thank you for your comments. That's nice. Because you know, it isn't easy to do something.
Well, I have to thank you for sharing the idea you had and then actually working so hard to make it happen. I think this has been an exceptional program, and I truly appreciate the work you've done in representing yourself and your work, as well as, you know, putting something out in the world as a member of our guild. So thank you.
Well, I really appreciate being able to order clay through you. It works very well for me. I was ordering it to Ojai, and then I really got so that I couldn't I wanted to get, you know, 400 pounds, but I couldn't get anybody to go with me and unload it.
Well, it's just one of those benefits we offer our members.
Well, it's great.
I really enjoyed seeing the correlation between the drawing and the sculptural process, and how it all works together, and that you've had so many sketchbooks and such beautiful drawings.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for sharing that.
I agree with that. It was really inspirational. Very, very beautiful.
Well, I still work. I try and work several times a week, a couple hours in the morning, or around, actually, it's usually 11 to 1. But I just turned 90, so I don't have as much energy as I used to have.
I'm very impressed with what you get done. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, you know, you just start something and then you have to keep going with clay, because otherwise it all just quits on you. You can't, you have to pay attention to it.
Right.
You're
an inspiration.
Oh, thanks. You guys all do beautiful stuff.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, you're totally welcome.
Can you share a little bit with us about where this all began for you? Did you start like two-dimensionally drawing, or did you start sculpting, or where did you start? And did you like study with specific people? And
well, when I was in nursery school and kindergarten, it was a fairly musical nursery school, and I'm not particularly musical. I like it, but I can't, you know, I'm not a musician at all. But they also gave us clay to play with. And I remember making a big Peter Rabbit. I don't know how big he really was, but he seemed big to me. And of course, I was much smaller. But, you know, I put the blue jacket on and the buttons, and I painted him. Well, of course, we didn't fire, you know, they just, and then my mother sometimes used clay, and it just seems like a very natural medium. I've done other things. I've carved stone, and I've carved wood, and I've done soft sculpture, and I even took a bronze casting class once and did some stuff. But clay is and those big hides, the blue hides, those are paper. I did a lot of cast paper for that show because the woman I'd been showing with said, couldn't you do something lighter? I understood, and I tried it, but it wasn't as rewarding as clay. But yeah, I went to Scripps College because it was, and my high school was pretty art oriented, and in fact my mother taught one of the art classes, and then I majored in art at Scripps College, and then I took the graduate MFA. And I worked mostly with Albert Stewart. He was the sculptor. But I took one class from Paul Solner, and I really was interested in the raku firing. When I took the class, I was expecting a baby, and I had a hard time throwing because the doctor said, oh, you can't do that. It's a kick wheel. You're not allowed to do that. So I made a little crash set, which I still have. And Paul said, the textures are nice. Why don't you do it? Why don't you raku fire it? So I did. And that was sort of the beginning of all my raku. I did some more raku things for my MFA show. And I also used another technique with those great big things. I was doing a what I call a sawdust firing. It's another post firing reduction. And you just have a barrel with about 1/2-inch holes, about 8 inches apart all around the barrel, and a good lid. And you put the pieces in with sawdust and light it with a torch of some kind. And then once it's black on top, you put the lid on it. It just smokes overnight. And you get all those browns and blacks. And I can't really do it where I live. I did it a couple of times, but the neighbors came over and said, are you watching that? That's burning. And I said, oh, yes. I was actually sitting on the couch reading, but I was checking it. I'd get up every few minutes and go look. And I water around it. But raku is quicker, it's different. But yeah, I don't sawdust fire here. I had a studio by the river in Iowa, and there weren't very many neighbors, and I could do more things, and I had a bigger kiln. But yeah, I have just tried to keep going. I have 4 sons and a stepdaughter, and it slows you up a little. So it's nice that I'm still lasting and can still do stuff because I enjoy it, of course.
Very impressive. Yes.
Hi, Nina. I was wondering if you could talk about how you get color on your raku. Do you use slip or underglaze?
I use glazes actually. I like those. Gosh, I tried to write down all the things I was going to say, but I don't. There are oxide powders that you can add to a clear glaze, and then you can add some of that opacifier. So I do that sometimes, and I have some recipes that I mix, and then I buy some glazes too. I mix my own black and my own crackle white, and I have a turquoise I mix. It's called O'Mara's red because he called it a red, but the red kind of fades and it turns out to be greenish or turquoise, depending on how much copper. But yeah, I've tried some different things. I've used engobes for those blue animals. Those were a blue engobe, and some of the pieces, the 2 animals with their noses together, those were high fired in a wood kiln up in Penryn by somebody who also studied with Paul Silver. And well, I had to pay him, of course, and I had to go up there. It was interesting, but I did that for a couple of years. And so I have some high fire pieces, but most of them are just bisque temperature, just 04.
Thank you.
Yeah, the glazing is the hardest part. I got just finished some work, and I'm going to glaze it, and I've tested about 3 times, and it always looks different every time. So I'm not sure. But
that's the magic of ceramics.
Yeah, the pleasure of raku too. I mean, how thick is it? Is it going to be the same? No, probably not. But I've had a gallery in Los Angeles, and that's been very helpful. And I have a few teapots, squirrel teapots in New York. I haven't sold any of the teapots, but some little things have sold there. It's part of the same gallery sending a show. And there's a magazine called Subsequence from Japan that's also got English and Japanese. And they just did a really nice article on me firing some pieces in raku. So if you, I don't know where it's an expensive magazine, but they have an online something or other. And I think I could share some of the photos. Paz said if I scanned them, she could put them on the whatever. Yeah. I know I've shown slides for our group before a couple of times, I think, quite a while ago. And the video that is sort of for the video that's from the 1980s is one that Carol, who is showing work also, and I did to travel the show. We got it sponsored by Iowa Arts Council, and we took it to 3 different colleges in Iowa. And she's the one who didn't like how heavy the clay was. She was doing photographs. They are light.
All right. Any last questions?
Oh, that was just awesome.
Fabulous.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, my daughter-in-law did all the work. Not the work she photographed, but all the work of the video. So
That's really wonderfully done. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and thank her and your son. We really very much appreciated it. And the comments I'm seeing here that people aren't saying is that it's been an amazing program. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been interesting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope I'm still making pots when I hit 90. So.
Yeah, me too.
Well, throwing is not something I do. I mean, I know how to bring up a cylinder, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I taught ceramics 1 several years as a part-time person. And I explained to them that I didn't throw, but I would demonstrate this. And they said, well, you shouldn't apologize first. But I've never been good at throwing. And as I say, I was pregnant when I took the class, so it was all kind of sideways. And I turned out to be kicking the wheel the wrong way or bringing up with the wrong hand. You know, it's not something I took to.
Well,
It's a
thank
good thing that
goodness, because we
everybody
wouldn't
does
see your sculpture then.
Right.
Right.
What a messy world it would be if everybody threw pots.
Well, I don't know about throwing, but I sure end up with a lot of scraps. And you had a whole program that I missed about recycling, and I just add water to dry clay, and then I put it on my wedging board. I like to use t-shirts. I use them for sort of, they call it hump mold. So I'll form a shape with t-shirts, and then I'll roll out a bunch of slabs with the patterns on them, because I've put a pattern onto something I can roll my slab over, a big piece of clay that I fired, just disc. And then I can wrap it around the t-shirts and add, sort of get a shape, and then wait a few days till it stiffens up, and then put it together and then trim it. Of course, there's a lot of trimmings, but it's been working for me.
It's a great way to build, right?
Well, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you. So hopefully we'll see some of you at the holiday potluck, and the rest of you in January at our next meeting. So I guess
Wow, it'll be
happy
2 months.
holidays, huh?
Thank
2
you.
months till we hit Zoom again.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Yeah.
holidays.
All right.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Yes.
close the meeting.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. And thanks, Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
Nina.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. See you guys later.
All right.